Hello, everybody out there on YouTube. It is Thursday, January 13th, the 12th, actually. 2017. We just sat down. We watched the Nintendo's live Switch presentation for tonight, and we have thoughts. We're the middle-aged guys, and that's what we're going to be bullshitting about tonight. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
Ray Mouse 1.
Long story short, the Nintendo NX, which has been rumored for a long time, just last year finally got a name, the Switch. Okay, and there was a lot of details and a lot of rumors that were floating around, a lot of which ended up true, some of them not being so true. And after the official reveal that they did last year, everybody wanted to know, okay, the pertinent information. What's the manufacturer suggested retail price? What's going to come in the package? What are we thinking about for battery life and everything else? Let me get the solid figures that we know out of the way first, because that's all the stuff that was definitely presented. Nobody can really go ahead and debate because that's just the information that we have. The manufacturer suggested retail price for the Switch is $299.99. It's set to launch March 3rd, 2017. Inside the box is going to come the console, the Joy-Cons, left and right one, straps for the Joy-Cons, the Joy-Con grip, the console dock, an HDMI cable, and the AC adapter. The Pro Controller is going to be sold separately, all right?
But yeah, there's going to also be one that has two different neon colors.
Yeah, there's a second package. If you don't want just the standard gray Joy-Cons, you get the one with the multicolored one, which will have a neon blue and a neon red Joy-Con. That's pretty much the details. Let's see here. The other details, the other facts that have gone out of the way that's rather interesting. Okay, when it comes to battery life, they said depending on the game that you're playing, it will average anywhere from 2.5 to 6.5 hours of play.
That's a big gap.
Well, it also depends. They also said it also depends on the game that you're playing. So, and I can see where that comes in. All right. It charges via USB-C. Okay. It has local Wi-Fi, and you could sit there and you could play local Wi-Fi ad hoc, basically an ad hoc network. You can network up to 8 systems together for local Wi-Fi play. All right. There's near-field communication on the right Joy-Con. There's a capture button on the left Joy-Con, which will allow you to capture screenshots of your play, and sometime in the future probably also do streaming. Videos, which begs the question: is Nintendo actually going to go ahead and loosen up their stance on their streaming and their media sharing policy? Because they
on their own server.
Yeah, possibly. The other things. Let's see here. The Joy-Cons have motion control, accelerometers, and gyroscopes in each, and they also have a new feature that they call HD Rumble, which supposedly is so specific that they compared it to if you were holding a glass of an empty glass and somebody was dropping ice cubes in it, you can actually count the number of ice cubes in it, and you could tell the difference between it just having ice in it or it being filled with water. Which, okay, I'm gonna start with my short thoughts on just the facts right now. I was really hoping that the sweet spot that they were going to hit was like $250 for the console price. But if there's any question of why it costs $300, just the amount of capability that they've shoved into those little fucking controllers, that's where the price is. Guess what? If you have to go out and buy these controllers by themselves, I am not going to be surprised if it's going to cost you $80 for fucking sets.
Yeah.
I'm just being completely honest.
Yeah.
If you lose your Joy-Con, yeah, one of those little things is probably going to be like $40 by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Yeah. You know what? Aside from that, the one thing that really stood out to me throughout the whole presentation, besides how dry it is just to see people fucking talk on stage, but that's something else altogether. But it's also the fact that the games that they showed off and that they had footage for, all in-game footage, all in-game fucking footage.
Not just photos.
Not just photos, not just
Cutscenes.
rendered CGI cutscenes and shit like that. They were actual in-game fucking gameplay. So if people had any sort of idea, or if they wanted a good conception of what they would be looking at, what they would actually have in front of them, I think they were given a good impression. But enough with me monopolizing the time. What are your guys' thoughts? Floor is open.
First of all, fuck EA for them being a third party, but I understand why they're there. But other than that, the presentation itself was pretty solid as far as the information that they gave and the games that they showed. They announced their third party, and it just wasn't an announcement of certain third party publishers. They actually showed some fucking footage during the conference and at the conference's end. They gave us hints on who and what is going to be there in the near future. Yes, there are going to be games that are going to be, spread out, and March 3rd is when the system is going to make its debut. But wow, it was a pretty good presentation. I really got to say that. But I'm going to call this the Wii 3 as of right now, or the Wii Y for right now.
It would be the V, actually. It's what comes after the U.
Right. But I just said the Y because it's like, why? Okay, but enough of that. Gray Mouse, what are your thoughts?
I'm still tripping over what you just said. Why are you going to rename the system?
I renamed every system. You've known me for 2 decades.
Anyway, I echo the same exact what y'all said. The presentation was good, and it was awkward at sometimes. I mean, but we know that from Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo's awkward all the time. Every presentation, there's something awkward that they do. I'm really excited, actually. I mean, I think SRB at $300 is viable. I mean, I think that's. I knew it was going to be $250, $300. We kind of figured that out. I think that's, I kind of agree with what the Reverend was saying. $250 was a sweet spot. $275, but after they started going into the
features of everything,
the features of it, and I have to agree. I mean, like they said, they took the history of Nintendo's consoles and put it all into one.
What you just said, that's what kind of impressed me at the most. I'm like, whoa, they're doing just about everything that they wanted to do, or everything that they had, and they're putting it here. And the only thing, sorry to cut you off, but the only concern that I have are the games as far as working them.
Well, I mean, with the HD Rumble feature? It's like HD Rumble. And he started to explain it, and if you could pick up a controller and could feel that ice is going into it, and whether or not it's full or not, Nintendo innovating again. Sony and Microsoft.
Microsoft start copying. They're looking at the paper now.
They are. There is no doubt. But for my opening thoughts is that I really thought that Nintendo did, hit it out of the park. I'm really impressed with it. And especially, I told you, all those rumors about Zelda not being a launch title. Come on, Zelda's a launch title.
Well, that was the only thing that was freaking mentioned.
So they were saying that, Zelda's going to be delayed, and all that. I was like, no, it's not.
We thought the Switch was going to be delayed, honestly.
And the fact that it seems like the little thing that we saw with Zelda is that, I'm a Zelda fan, obviously, is that it seems like it's going to be an emotional game than it normally is. That's going to be very interesting. I really like the feature, finally, a Nintendo network. Are they going to call it Nintendo Live? I was like, Nintendo's actually going to do it? Because on this channel, we mentioned that was almost a necessity now, that Nintendo needs to do something like that. And We called it. You saw it on our channel. We've spoken about it months ago.
Region free.
Region fucking free. Hell yeah.
That is actually a fucking revelation for a Nintendo console.
Yes, it is.
For a Nintendo console.
Yeah, because I don't think there's been any other Nintendo console that's been region free from Nintendo.
Yeah, at least
8-bit era.
Yeah. At least not out of the box. Okay.
Right.
You know, there are ways to go out of your way and play the other region games, but yeah, the region free part, that part, I think I'm just hoping that they take this mentality and they drop that from the fucking 3DS also before, depending on where the market goes or where Nintendo goes with all of this, before they decide to go ahead and phase that out. I'd hope that they go ahead and they drop that requirement off the 3DS. But you know, the thing with the Switch right now, I'd have to say, like you had mentioned, Theme, you know, it just looked like they took everything and they put it all together. It was like, you know, here's actually going all the way back.
Gray Mouse mentioned that, but
yeah, going all the way back to the Nintendo 64. Really,
back to this.
Back to
this.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's as far as all the conventional stuff goes, I from what it looks like, everything that they presented, it looks like, yeah, some of the, I'll be honest, I've been playing some of the newer games on my PC and been able to run things on high spec and everything. And yeah, some of the environments and some of the games look a little sparse, but what I saw looked fucking good. All right, looked really, really fucking good. The
new Fire Emblem.
Yeah, not just a Fire Emblem, but Fire Emblem Warriors. So it's the Musou game. Yeah. So I mean,
a couple of Dragon Warriors.
Yes,
3 of them.
10 and 11.
Yeah, and then they're also going to be porting over Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 also.
Yep. A new Super Mario.
Well, one thing too is the Amiibo functionality.
That impressed me. I look, because as soon as they did it, I was like, oh, they kept it. Yes,
they had to. They had to.
Look, we discussed that, and it was like they had to. But I was like, they thought of a way. They found a way. They're putting it, and it's like, okay, fine, done. You didn't just make Gray Mouse buy his whole fucking collection for nothing. You're going to be able to use them on a Nintendo Switch.
Yep. I mean, it was quite impressive. And one of the things that I know we didn't touch back on rumors or anything else for the Switch coming all the way up until this point. But for some of the folks who have been like, so what are the specs and everything? Because I didn't really see any specs. But according to the developers who have worked on it, they've said that it runs the Unreal 4 engine on medium settings. It doesn't run it on high or extreme settings. It runs it on medium settings. And it's not the mobile version of the Unreal 4 engine. It is the full-blown console platform developers version of Unreal 4.
That in itself, what you just mentioned right there, that's pretty impressive. Being that Switch is being a hybrid of mobile and console dock. So running Unreal 4 as a console, but you're still on, you're portable.
That's saying something. And the thing is that I mean, I know all of us say, look, without the games, all of this is equates to a really expensive paperweight. But when it comes down to it, when like I said before, maybe it's just my line of work and everything else. I always keep my ear to the ground when it comes to the tech, because that always influences what game makers are going to be able to do, the types of experience that they're going to be able to offer. And Nintendo, to their credit, they aren't just thinking more horsepower. Look at the graphics. Look at the graphics. Let's turn the bait really fucking high, so every time you get shot by something, it feels like a fucking dubstep party going off in your ears. All right. Once again, they sat down and they were like, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and change up the experience for the player, and we're going to give people another reason to go ahead and buy our system that's not attached to look at the graphics, or my eardrums are getting blown out and shit like that.
What impressed me was Super Mario Odyssey.
That looked dope. I'm going to tell you right now, I I am not.
I kind of marked out. I admit it. I saw him fucking Captain America his hat, and his hat is alive. I was like, whoa, that's something fucking new.
Yep. Well, yeah, he stole that move from fucking Michael Jackson, Moonwalker.
Yes, he did.
The ability to throw this
come back his hat and go on. When he threw his hat and the hat was out in the middle of fucking air and he jumped on it to jump on another platform and the hat returned, I'm like, they Captain America it.
Well, what
the fuck?
They, yeah, man. I mean, a new power for Mario.
Yeah, and I like I said before, I'm not the biggest Mario fan. I mean, out of us three, he's probably not my favorite character. Okay, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but watching that, I was like, that looks dope. That looks really fucking fun. And yeah, that was something that I'd say that I look forward to.
The first open world Mario since Sunshine.
Well, I was going to say, to me, it looked like a 64 Mario. I mean, because he was doing all his. It really did. It looked like they took the gameplay of the 64 Mario and, you know.
Well, they've had 20 years to go ahead and to move past the gameplay of Mario 64, and it shows. All right, that's one of the things that's great about it. One of the games that looked really weird to me at first was ARMS, but after I started looking at it, it really started reminding me of a mix between Victorious Boxers, Punch Out, and Virtual On.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I started putting that together,
what Victorious Boxers is, that's Hajime no Ippo.
Yeah.
Japanese anime. Look that shit up. Watch that shit.
When I put that together in my mind, I was like, this looks really fucking interesting. This actually looks like something I want to fucking play.
And the controllers too, where you were holding it and you could flip it, and you could twist your hook shots, and it's like, I was like, sign me up.
I'm glad that they're actually going to do another Splatoon.
If you have not played Splatoon yet,
well, I don't have a Wii U. So.
No, I'm just saying, anybody out there, please, you're doing yourself a disfavor. Please play that. It is one of them. It's very intuitive. I love that game. I've played it.
And the fact that you're going to be able to take this one on the go and have it wireless, that is going to be something. I give that handful of credit.
Yep.
And then, they showed a montage of certain games, like at the end of the conference, and you saw the third party, you saw the first party.
Yeah, I mean, there were quite a few games that were like in that montage. I mean, just a half dozen or so that I saw. Let's see here. They had FIFA, Sonic, Minecraft. There was a Rabbids game in there. There was a DBZ game. There was a Street Fighter game, which looked like an HD version of Alpha because they were doing the whole dramatic battle 2-on-1.
Very interested in that as a fighting game and as a Street Fighter fan.
They also showed what looked like a new F-Zero, which is fucking do.
I'm like, they're bringing back F-Zero. Yes.
I saw a Bomberman.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a few things that looked pretty interesting.
Let's address the element. Oh, go ahead.
Bomberman on the go. I mean, that's a party game. Look, you gotta take yourself to your friend's house. Like, here, let's play some Bomberman.
Hey, like we used to do back in the day, Gray Mouse. Let's discuss the elephant in the room. Zelda that gave us the most footage. Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I think, as you can see, I was kind of looking forward to it.
That was the title that everybody wanted to see, and Nintendo delivered. They fucking delivered. They gave us just enough, and the game is only less than 2 months away, along with the fucking console.
The things that stood out to me with Zelda Breath of the Wild, there were a few things. Number one, there was a lot of races and a lot of beings from the whole Zelda universe that were returning that you didn't see in previous versions. Like in Wind Waker, there were no Gorons, and there were other creatures that were missing, like the little Deku kids and like the the fish people. The fish people got kind of updated later on for I believe Twilight Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, but there those characters from Twilight Princess, like the shadow enemies and stuff like that, they didn't show up anywhere in any place else. The fairies, the fairies from Ocarina of Time, looks like they showed up. So it looks like if they sat there, they took the handbook of all the shit that they had that is Zelda over the last 20 years, okay? And they sat there and said, all right, we're going to make the biggest fucking Zelda game ever, okay? And we have to populate with these creatures and beings that are going to have these huge, you know, expansive maps and places to inhabit. It looks like they went ahead and they're pulling from each and every fucking title. And if I'm following it right, it helped that they had the subtitles and everything. It looks like they're actually doing voice acting for Zelda, which I'm not sure how I'm going to accept that in the Zelda game, but from what it looks like is that this is like a culmination of things. This is where Skyward Sword was like, this is the very first game in the timeline of the whole Zelda timeline. It looks like this game is going to be a very tail fucking end.
It looked like it was coming to a full circle. It looked like that.
No, I mean, if you know, being the geek that I am, that's what they kind of hinted at, because they sit there and it looks like in this particular timeline, they are pretty much following up, you know, hey, the history of Hyrule has always been connected to the calamity of Ganon, all right? And the history of the hero and his fall, they said that, you know, explicitly in the trailer, was one of those things where I was like, that's really fucking interesting, because if they take everything that Zelda has offered so far, they're going to wrap it up in this one huge big world. As long as they don't make the grindy parts too grindy, I think I'm going to be very happy with it. You know? What about you, Grayman? Also, I know you have thoughts on the Zelda footage.
I pretty much said what I wanted to say at the beginning of the video. I'm very looking forward to this game. I mean, this is probably being one of the reasons why I get a Nintendo Switch.
You didn't get it at launch?
I'm thinking about it. I'm seriously thinking about it. I mean,
right. I got some ideas for you, but I'll wait until after we record. But
yeah.
But the what's really fascinating about the Zelda, you know, I'm kind of in the same boat the Reverend is. I'm not, you know, other than hey, look, listen, you know, voices, and then having actually.
Did you just do a Navi?
I did. Yeah. Other than having that. You know, and then Zelda herself having a voice actor, seems to me like this is more a emotional trip, or title rather, is what I mean. So yeah, you know, I mean, the whole Zelda universe is brought around the calamity of Ganon. We all know that.
And I'm going to address this. The only bad for me, and that wanted to fucking tear my television in half. No Metroid.
But you knew that.
No, fuck that. I didn't know that.
Actually, you know what? The one thing that I will say that I did not, that stood out like a sore thumb, all right, to me, is the fact that counting down the titles that they went ahead and they showed on screen, the ones that actually were followed by a release date, it looks like, according to what they had shown, the release games that were confirmed with this presentation is 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild, and ARMS, as far as what's there during launch. Nothing from third party confirmed as being a launch title.
Yeah, that's very concerning, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's really concerning.
But look at when the system is launching. Usually things launch like in summertime or maybe in the holidays. You guarantee most of their games will be out by the holidays. That's when the new Mario is going to be out.
Yeah. What concerns me though is that just like if you have a great game and everything, Breath of the Wild, if it's a big game and everything else, given time, and especially with the nature of the internet and everything like that, unfortunately, that period of longevity where it's new and it's a fresh experience for everybody out in public, it's that period of longevity doesn't exist the way that it used to 20 years ago. All right,
it didn't even exist 20 years ago, and here's why. The Nintendo 64 only launched with Mario and Pilot Wings, I think.
Yeah.
And
that was their only 2 games for like 4 to 6 months. And Nintendo, you can't do that. You can't do that.
I mean, I don't want to see another launch where it's like, hey, look, we've got our big guys here, and then they've got to have like other things to sprinkle around and have there as a breather title or something else that's going to be another distraction. Okay, I love the Nintendo first party, but one of the things that we've all said this, the thing that's important most is games. The thing that drove the NES forward was not just first party but third party titles. All right, the thing that drove the Super Nintendo forward wasn't just the first party, it was the third party titles. All right, and then things started dropping off into nothingness when it came to a lot of that third party support, and that's one of the things that potentially it looks good, but if I'm going by the facts of things that they've actually showed dates for, I don't have a lot of reason to sit there and go, this is going to be a loaded launch.
Right.
Well, see, the thing is, though, we don't have a launch schedule for Skyrim, Switch, I guess they call it now.
Yeah.
And that in itself, to put Skyrim on the Switch, that in itself is very interesting to me. I was really impressed that that actually turned out to be true. I don't know if that's going to encourage people because they already have it on Xbox or Sony already.
Well, I mean, there might be a few features that'll allow them to encourage it, but it's
what about the control? The control itself is going to make it different.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely going to change the experience. But like we said, if there isn't a game that's going to accompany it, that's going to require, hey, look, this game makes a world of difference. Experience this game exclusively on this particular control scheme, and as much as I love how Nintendo has engendered their technology and they brought their whole market share forward to them from the last few generations. Like I said before, waggle controls have never been great. They've been serviceable. All right. Motion controls have never been excellent. All right. They either work well or they suck shit. All right. That's just how it is, but there's never been an experience, a waggle control experience where I've been like, hey, that's just been fucking mind blowing. All right. I don't want to be the naysayer, but that's just my honest view on that. So with this, hopefully tomorrow when they go ahead and they do their Treehouse presentation, they've got a lot more games to announce that will have actual dates attached to them, so that interesting folks like possibly myself, possibly Grey Mouse, possibly the team can go ahead, if we want to go ahead and mull over the idea of pre-ordering this thing. We also have a schedule of shit that we want to go ahead and pick up along the way, so we don't have to sit there and look at this fucking paperweight right there on our fucking entertainment center and say, why the fuck did I get this thing 2 months ago? Because they can't have that happen, And I hope with the Treehouse presentation tomorrow that a lot more information will come forward that's going to make me a lot less concerned about that.
Please.
I mean, with Zelda being the launch title, and then the next set of games, I guess, is summer, right? With Splatoon 2 and a couple of other third-party games in summer. I mean, March. Summer is right there. It may not. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you guys, the middle-aged guys, a question. What do you consider a launch title? The system launches May 3rd. Or I'm sorry, March 3rd. Forgive me. How many months ahead of March 3rd do you still consider a launch game? Because summer is June. right?
Well, here's the thing.
You can still call that if games are launched in June.
Well, there's a difference between launch title and year one.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's what I'm asking. Where do you call launch titles? I mean, March 3rd, that is the launch titles, or do you consider like?
Well, I'm going to reference you for the Dreamcast for that answer, because the way their launch was with first and third party was the perfect launch for a console.
They had like 15 titles in the first fucking month. In like the first 2 weeks, they had 15 titles on the shelf.
They just launched with games. Now, again, as the Reverend pointed out, we don't know if these things are going to have a dates attached to them. This was just the presentation of the system, and this was just to show off its capabilities and, show off certain games, show off the third party that's going to be attached to it. So as the Reverend just said, the Treehouse presentation is actually going to give us more information. And this was just the date of the fucking console and the launch title that everybody in this fucking Nintendo world is waiting for, that's going to sell this console. No doubt about it, this console will sell, and Breath of the Wild will carry it.
Yeah,
I have no doubts there. But the one thing that all three of us are saying that Nintendo cannot do is to wait months and months and months to present us with games.
Yeah, they're really. I really hope that they have something lined up after.
But as far as answering your question, Gray Mouse, as far as what you consider a launch title, yeah, within the first month or so, maybe 3 months max. And as you just said, summer is right there, but people are impatient, especially if look. I mean, come on, shit, I'm impatient. as far as wanting good games and trying to get good games and stuff like that. And I see where you're coming from, Gray Mouse, as far as saying, can't you just wait?
No. Well, see, the thing is this. It's like June is 3 months past March, right? So if they released a whole, like, 5-10 games in June, would that, do you think
It depends on the games at that point.
Huh?
It depends on the games at that point.
Well, I mean, do you think Breath of the Wild can hold?
Because let's think about this. The other consoles are going to they're going to be launching certain games at certain times, and certain third party is going like sports titles and things like that.
Yeah,
things will start showing up. So the Nintendo Switch has to be in line with that.
Yeah, I'll say this right now, okay? If Breath of the Wild and those other two games are the launch titles, okay, that by itself isn't a sin, okay? If they have something that comes out within the next few weeks that's going to follow up, and I'm not just saying one title or two title, I'm talking about a regular flow of games that are coming out.
Please.
That's going to follow up after that. Because look, you can have Breath of the Wild as the only game there, but if it takes another 2 months before any other game that's even going to catch anybody's attention, all right, even as a part-time gamer, somebody who only plays during the fucking weekends, I can finish that game. I can go ahead and I can experience that game. Maybe not everything, but enough to go ahead and say, this is all I got for the next 2 months, and start, and watch tangibly as all the momentum that Nintendo has building up into this point just falls straight off of a fucking cliff.
Oh yeah, disappear almost instantly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm kind of concerned about, and that's really our thoughts in a nutshell. We're trying to keep it real here. We're giving you the facts. $300 MSRP, 2 different package configurations, not including a game. Breath of the Wild is definitely a launch title. March 3rd, 2017 is the launch date for the Switch. Hey, it's actually a lot sooner than people were expecting. People were shooting for like March 17th, which was the middle of the month, is what most people were settling on. But, that's the facts what was presented. This particular presentation by Nintendo, there's going to be a lot more coming up for the Treehouse presentation tomorrow morning. And that's pretty much where we as middle-aged guys stand, yeah. What are your thoughts, folks? If you watched the presentation, what are your thoughts? What stood out to you? What stood out to you about the console? What stood out to you about the games? Is there something that's concerning you? Because we may have missed something. And if we did, feel free to drop us a comment below. Like I say at the end of every video, if so kind, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Because, well, that's kind of the reason why we do it. Otherwise, we just keep on doing it for ourselves. Here's to talk. All right? We're the middle-aged guys. We've been bullshitting about the Nintendo Switch presentation for the last 30 minutes. Our bullshit on that ends here. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
Ray Mouse 1.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming. Good presentation, Nintendo, but please come with it with the games. Please, we want you to be successful. Credits.
And with that, we'll switch away from this video.